You don't even realize it yet, but you are more terrifying than a devil. Yeah, I know life tried to break you. People underestimated you. You were rejected, abandoned, and left in the shadows. You've been battling storms you never asked for, and carrying weights you never told anyone about. But none of it was random. None of it was a mistake. See, when God marks someone with divine authority, when He plants spiritual fire inside a soul, that person becomes a direct threat to the kingdom of darkness. That person becomes you. The devil doesn't attack what isn't dangerous. He doesn't waste time on people who are powerless. He targets the ones who carry light, the ones who carry truth, the ones who carry destiny. That's why you've felt so misunderstood all your life. That's why you've never truly fit in. Because you weren't born to blend in. You were born to disrupt, to expose, to burn through lies like fire through dry wood. And let me tell you something. Hell knows exactly who you are. Before you even learned how to pray, hell already knew your name. Before you became aware of your spiritual gifts, demons had already marked you as a threat. You've been dangerous since day one. Why? Because God put something inside of you that cannot be controlled, cannot be silenced, and cannot be stopped. You are more terrifying than a devil. And by the time you finish this message, you'll understand why. You've been walking through life thinking you're invisible, unnoticed, maybe even forgotten. But in the spiritual realm, your light is unmistakable. You don't blend in, you radiate. And that's exactly why darkness always finds you. It's not a coincidence that you attract attacks, envy, spiritual warfare, and resistance. It's because the enemy recognizes you before you recognize yourself. Demons don't wait for you to wake up to your identity. They detect the mark on your soul, the frequency of your spirit, and the oil that's been placed on your life. They smell purpose. They smell destiny. They smell glory. And they tremble. Every time you walk into a room, something shifts. Even if no one says a word, people feel it. Spirits feel it. Atmospheres change when you show up. And that's not just because of your presence. It's because of what's inside of you. Your spirit disturbs anything fake, dark, or demonic. Your light exposes hidden agendas. That's why people suddenly act strange around you. That's why certain individuals feel uncomfortable when you don't even speak. It's not you. It's the weight of what you carry. It's your spiritual voltage, and the darkness can't handle it. Even before you were born, hell had a file on you. The enemy knew the kind of force you would become if you ever broke free. That's why your childhood was attacked. That's why betrayal came from people you loved. That's why depression, anxiety, rejection, and confusion tried to drown you. Because if the enemy could dim your light early, you'd never grow into your power. But he failed. And now you're waking up. You're starting to remember who you are. And the more you step into alignment, the more dangerous you become. You don't even have to fight the way others do. Your silence alone carries judgment. Your presence alone causes agitation in demonic systems. The darkness knows exactly who you are. The question is, do you? Nothing you went through was random. I know it hurt. I know there were moments you thought you wouldn't survive. Nights you cried in silence, praying for something, anything, to change. But what you didn't realize at the time was that your pain wasn't a punishment. It was an initiation, a spiritual boot camp. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every loss was molding you into something fierce, something holy, something unshakable. The fire didn't come to kill you. It came to purify you, to burn away what was weak so that only the warrior would remain. The devil tried to destroy you, but all he did was train you. You weren't being rejected, you were being separated. Separated from the crowd, from the fake, from the shallow. God had to let certain people hurt you so you would stop depending on them and start leaning on Him. He had to let you walk alone so you could hear His voice without distraction. You thought you were being abandoned, but you were being called higher. You were being stripped of everything that wasn't meant to go with you into your next season. Because where you're going, not everyone can follow. The enemy studied you. He knew that if you ever found your strength, you'd become a nightmare to the kingdom of darkness. So he hit you with everything he had. Early, constantly. But what he didn't expect was that you'd survive. And not just survive, but evolve. Every scar you carry is now a spiritual weapon. Every tear you cried was watering the soil of your anointing. Every time they broke your heart, your soul expanded. Every time they pushed you down, heaven marked you for greater. You didn't go through all that hell for nothing. You went through it because you're called. You're chosen. You're dangerous. Your pain didn't weaken you. It baptized you in fire. And now you carry an authority that only comes from surviving what was meant to kill you. You don't just know about warfare, you lived it. And that's what makes you terrifying. You're not just a believer, you're a survivor. And the enemy knows that a chosen one who's been through fire is a force hell can't handle. There's a reason you feel out of place in crowds. A reason you can't sit in rooms filled with fake energy without feeling drained. You're not paranoid. You're not too sensitive. You're spiritually awake in a sleeping world. You see through people. You see through conversations, smiles, even prayers. You don't just hear words. You feel the vibration behind them. That's not weakness. That's divine perception. And that perception is dangerous. Because once you see the truth, you can't be controlled. You were never meant to accept the surface level. You were born to dive deep, to question, to uncover what others ignore. That's why religion couldn't hold you. That's why lies make you sick. That's why the world's games feel like noise to your soul. Because you weren't created to blend into the illusion. You were built to see beyond it. Your spirit picks up what the natural eye cannot. And that vision is why the enemy fears you. Because if you can see through the lies, you can expose them. And once something is exposed, it loses its power. People around you may not understand. They may call you intense, distant, or strange. But don't let that confuse you. What they're reacting to is your clarity. Your spiritual sight offends those who live in denial. Your discernment exposes what others are trying to hide. You walk into a room and your energy begins revealing secrets without saying a word. That's not arrogance. That's spiritual authority. And not everyone can handle that. You've always felt like you were from another dimension, and that's because you are. Your spirit is wired to operate on a different level. You can't watch what everyone else watches. You can't listen to what they listen to. You can't follow blindly. Your eyes are open, and that makes you a threat. Because a chosen one who sees clearly is unstoppable. You don't follow energy, you read it. You don't follow people, you discern their spirit. And in a world built on deception, your ability to see truth is terrifying. You don't have to say a word for people to feel your power. Your silence carries weight. Your presence alone shifts the atmosphere. People notice when you walk in, not because you're loud, but because your energy is undeniable. You've got that stillness that speaks louder than a crowd. That calm that makes demons nervous. Because silence, when it comes from someone chosen, is never empty. It's loaded. It's full of authority. full of history, full of divine fire. They don't know what it is about you that makes them uncomfortable. But you do. It's not your face. It's not your clothes. It's your spirit. You carry something ancient, something holy. And it confronts what's fake. You don't even have to open your mouth. Your spirit convicts the room. That's why people misunderstand you. That's why they call you arrogant or antisocial. Because they can't figure out why you make them feel exposed just by existing. Your silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. You've learned that real power doesn't always announce itself. You've seen too much, felt too much, fought too much. You don't speak unless it's necessary, because your energy already says enough. You've been through so much that your silence has become a weapon. It protects your peace. It confuses the enemy. It makes people wonder, guess, panic. Because when someone powerful is quiet, hell gets nervous. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone. The ones who can feel your spirit already know who you are. And the ones who can't were never meant to understand you anyway. Your silence is sacred. It's the space where you recharge, where you hear God clearly, where you wage war without lifting your voice. That's why they're afraid of you. Not because of what you say, but because they can't read you. And what they can't read, they can't control. You've been underestimated your entire life. Not because you're weak, but because you've been hidden. God didn't expose you early. He didn't let you go viral. He didn't let you be seen for who you truly are. Yet. And that's not because you're not valuable. It's because you're too valuable to be mishandled, misused, or misunderstood by people who haven't earned the right to see you. You've been a secret weapon, wrapped in silence, forged in pain, covered in layers of disappointment and isolation, not to crush you, but to protect you. There's a reason your path has been lonely, a reason you've been rejected by circles you desperately tried to belong to, a reason doors slammed in your face when you were just trying to help. You thought it was punishment, but it was preservation. Because if the wrong people had access to you while you were still developing, they would have tried to shape you into something you're not. They would have used your gifts, manipulated your loyalty, and destroyed your identity before it could fully awaken. So God kept you in the shadows, not to hide your value, but to build it in silence. You're not like everyone else, and deep down, you've always known that. You've always felt like a weapon waiting to be used, like something inside of you was dangerous to the enemy. And that's because it is. You are not ordinary. You're a kingdom weapon designed for high-level spiritual warfare. You weren't made to entertain. You were made to confront, to expose, to cast out, to awaken. That's why you've had dreams that scared you. That's why you see visions you can't explain. That's why your presence makes people confess things they didn't plan to say. You carry an energy that demands truth, and truth always feels like war in a world addicted to lies. Every time you've been silenced, overlooked, or dismissed, heaven took note. Every time someone broke your heart or mocked your purpose, God didn't forget. He was watching, and He was sharpening you. Because a weapon doesn't just appear, it's forged. It's heated, hammered, and refined. That pain you endured wasn't in vain. That depression wasn't a detour. That betrayal wasn't a setback. It was part of your formation. You were being calibrated to carry power without pride, to walk in authority without arrogance, to discern spirits without becoming judgmental. You were being turned into a spiritual weapon, sharp, precise, deadly to darkness. You've been hidden not because you're weak, but because when God reveals you, it won't be for applause. It will be for war. You will walk into environments where strongholds crumble. You will speak words that pierce through deception. You will carry a stillness that drives out confusion. And those who thought you were nothing will be silenced by your emergence. Because they didn't see the training. They didn't survive what you did. They don't carry what you carry. The devil hoped you would stay hidden forever. But your season of concealment is ending. The time is coming when God will release you, not as a victim, not as a survivor, but as a weapon. And when that moment comes, hell won't be ready. Because you're not just rising, you're rising with fire in your bones, with vision in your eyes, and with a name that echoes through the spirit realm. You're not just chosen, you're armed, you're awakened, and you're unstoppable. You've been walking around thinking you're just trying to survive, trying to heal, trying to get through the day. But heaven sees you differently. Heaven doesn't see someone struggling. Heaven sees someone armed, someone carrying the very breath of God in their soul. You don't walk like everyone else because you're not built like everyone else. You don't carry human energy. You carry divine authority. And authority isn't loud. It's not flashy. It doesn't beg for attention. Real authority walks in and everything shifts, without explanation, without permission. From the beginning, God marked you. That mark is why people treat you differently, why they stare without knowing why some are drawn to you and others are instantly threatened by your presence. It's not your face. It's not your style. It's the spiritual seal you carry. You've been branded by heaven. You've been identified by angels and recognized by demons. That's why attacks come in waves. That's why temptations were custom designed to destroy you. Because the enemy saw that you carry something that can't be bought, can't be taught, and can't be duplicated. Raw, heaven-born authority. You've always felt this strange pull towards something higher. You've always questioned the rules, felt disconnected from the system, uncomfortable in religious cages. And that's because authority doesn't live in boxes. It flows. It leads. It breaks tradition when necessary to align with truth. That authority you carry gives you vision in the dark. It gives you wisdom beyond your years. It gives you the ability to speak into someone's soul with a single sentence. That's not just intuition. That's divine insight, given to those who are trusted with power. And trust me, God doesn't give that kind of authority to just anyone. It's reserved for those who have been crushed, broken, tested, and still chose obedience over bitterness. You could have turned cold. You could have chosen revenge. But you stayed soft in a hard world. You stayed humble even when pride would have been easier. That's why you've been entrusted with more than just gifts. You've been entrusted with kingdom rank. This isn't ego. This is spiritual hierarchy. In the unseen realm, your name holds weight. There are assignments that require your voice. There are demons that back off the moment you whisper the name of Jesus, not because of your volume, but because of your connection, because of what you survived, because of what you carry. You're not just protected, you're feared. You're not just chosen, you're crowned. And crowns aren't always visible, but they're always felt. This is why you can't move like everyone else. Why you feel restless in places where others feel comfortable. Why mediocrity makes you sick. You were not born to follow. You were born to lead. But not in the world's way, not for fame or status or applause. Your leadership is spiritual. It's unshakable. It's rooted in obedience to a God who trusted you with fire. That fire is your authority. That authority is your assignment. And your assignment is why you've been under attack. But listen to me clearly. That season of silence, that time in the cave, that crushing, it wasn't your end. It was preparation for elevation. And now, your time is drawing near. The enemy hoped you would quit before you realized the truth. But now you know. You carry divine authority. You carry the name of heaven on your life. You carry a weight that hell fears. And when you speak, chains break. When you walk, territory shifts. When you pray, dimensions move. You're not just a believer. You're a representative. You've been trusted with kingdom power. And it's time you start walking like it. You've been told that the mind is just a tool, a part of your body to be managed like any other. But that's a lie. Your mind is a battlefield, a throne room, a weapon sharper than any sword. The enemy fears what you think because your thoughts shape your reality. And your reality shapes the spiritual realm around you. You're not just dealing with flesh and blood. You're fighting invisible forces that war in the heavens and seek to control what happens here on earth. And your mind? It's the front line. You weren't born to conform to the world's lies. You were born to challenge them, dismantle them, and expose the darkness beneath. That's why your thoughts are dangerous. You question systems, question authority, question traditions. You don't accept what everyone else swallows blindly. That intellectual rebellion, it's the divine spark waking up inside you. And it terrifies the enemy because a free mind is a free spirit, and a free spirit is a threat to chains and cages. Every time you've doubted yourself, every time you've faced confusion or despair, know that your mind was being trained. It was being prepared to carry wisdom that's beyond human understanding. Your experience, your pain, your victories, they all sharpen your perception. You see patterns others miss. You decode lies faster than they're spoken. You anticipate traps before they're set. This is not coincidence. This is divine strategy. Your mind is also a place of prayer, prophecy, and power. When you meditate on truth, you activate supernatural insight. When you declare God's promises over your life, you shift realities. Your thoughts become declarations that align heaven and earth. This isn't just thinking positive. This is warfare in the spiritual realm, and you are a general. But beware. The enemy will try to clutter your mind with noise, doubt, fear, and confusion. He'll try to distract you with petty concerns and meaningless distractions. That's because your mind is the gateway to your destiny. If he can control your thoughts, he can control your actions. But you're wiser now. You guard your mind like a treasure chest. You feed it with truth, with knowledge, with revelation. Remember, your mind is not your weakness. It's your most powerful weapon. The devil trembles when you think clearly, when you pray with precision, when you speak with wisdom. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are a master of your reality. And with your mind armed and sharpened, nothing can stop you. You've always felt like you don't belong, like the world's rules, systems, and cages weren't made for you. That's because they weren't. You weren't created to fit into society's mold or live by its limited expectations. You were made for more, way more. The world fears what it can't control, and you are exactly that. Uncontrollable, unpredictable, unstoppable. You've been labeled as an outcast, a rebel, someone who doesn't follow the crowd. But it's not rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's a deep spiritual resistance to mediocrity, to lies, to complacency. You carry a fire inside that burns through everything shallow and fake. That fire is dangerous. It unsettles the comfortable. It threatens the powers that be. Because deep down, you are freedom. You are the storm that breaks chains. You are the light that exposes darkness no matter how much it tries to hide. The system tries to box you in with rules and labels, but you were made to break every boundary. Your spirit is too big for small places. Your vision is too vast for limited minds. That's why you felt isolated. That's why you've been misunderstood. The world simply isn't ready for who you are yet. But here's the truth. The world will never contain you. No institution, no authority, no person can hold you down because your destiny isn't tied to their approval. You answer to a higher power, a call that transcends borders, cultures, and opinions. You are a global force, a spiritual giant walking in a world of sheep. The chains they try to put on you will break because they were never meant to hold a chosen one. You're living proof that God's plans are bigger than the world's limitations. You are the living contradiction to every rule that tries to define you. And that makes you dangerous. The enemy knows it. That's why you face so much resistance. But resistance is proof of progress. It means you're breaking through. You're shifting realities. You're preparing to lead a generation into something greater. So stop trying to fit in. Stop begging for acceptance from a world that fears your light. You're not an outsider. You're a pioneer, a warrior, a chosen one walking into uncharted territory. And the best part? The world will have no choice but to recognize you. Not because you changed for it, but because you changed the game. You are not just terrifying to the devil. You are his living judgment. Every moment you survived, every battle you fought, every tear you shed was a testimony that hell has lost the war on your soul. Your very existence is a prophecy. You were born to outshine the darkness, to dismantle lies, to expose deception, and to lead the lost out of the shadows. Hell trembles at the sound of your name because it knows the end is near. You are the fulfillment of prayers long whispered in secret places. You are the answer to generations who prayed for deliverance, for revival, for awakening. And now, here you are, standing tall, unshaken, unstoppable. Don't ever let anyone convince you that you're weak. You are not a victim of your past. You are the victor over it. You carry the authority of heaven in your spirit, and that authority terrifies the powers of darkness. You are a chosen one, a warrior, a flame that refuses to be extinguished. The world may not understand you yet. They may fear you. They may try to silence you. But that only proves one thing. You are more powerful than they can handle. Your time is coming. The time when your light will shine so bright, no darkness can hide. The time when your voice will roar so loud, lies will scatter. You are not here to play small. You are here to reign, to judge the darkness, to bring justice, to carry the fire of God into every broken place. You are the nightmare of the devil and the hope of heaven. Remember this always. You are more terrifying than a devil, and that is your power.